Rotaro Gar champions. My name is Hellcream, and I'm a moderator of r/warcraftlore, and I'm here today with you. Very exciting time. The very first podcast by Mr. Hellcream and the Warcraft Lore guys. So, throughout these series, throughout these podcasts, I want to talk about some of the really interesting posts that pop up on our little subreddit, our little corner of the world, our stories that we create in our mind, our tinfoil hats, our tall tales, and of course our Arthas can beat X posts. Holy shit, so I'm trying to beat my keyboard up. So, in today's post, we have Arthas versus a Rhino, Arthas versus Deathwing, and Arthas versus AU Arthas. Very exciting times ahead. I'm fucking with you. Come on, right. I want to take time just to say thank you for tuning into this. I hope you're listening to it and having a great time, same as I am. So, let's jump in. First post of today. I'm looking at Economics in Azeroth by Yamaha RN. Thank you for putting this amazing post up on the thread. It was absolutely fantastic. I had a great time reading through each one of the factions, each one of the sub-leaders, what they do in terms of money, and where cash, gold, resources really fits into the Warcraft universe. I mean, us as players, we play the game, we run around, we kill the mob, we get the loot, we sell it to that crazy vendor who just so happens to have 1,000 gold on him at all time. And there's no real sense of, oh yeah, we're in a recession. I've never heard Orgrimmar going, oh, we gotta cut back on those helmets. But then again, I ain't seen any helmets on any peons for a long time, but oh, okay, different story. So we have, first thing I want to point out myself are, if we applied real-life economics into Azeroth and brought them over to our reality, goblins would be crazy super rich. That is just natural. It comes normal to them. They have this ability just to have gold on them at all times. That's how they're paid. We saw Siegecraft of Blackfuse. We do not know how much he was paid, but we know goblins aren't driven by loyalty. So I imagine Garrosh gave him a very nice tip for the, defense of Orgrimmar during 5.2. Warcraft 3, as he points out here, it was gold and lumber that acted as your currency, but in RTSs there are multiple resources that can go on throughout there. I mean, those are just the two main ones that you use to build your army, so you can continue through the game. I'm sure there wasn't any taxes for them to fill out, or anything stupid like that. I just really want to hit off really going down the post, really. We all know Thrall chose the Wastelands of Durotar as a penance of the First Horde invasion, which is more noble than practical. Correct. Placing yourself in the middle of a desert. I mean, the closest thing you've got to really any sustainable sea life is the Echo Isles, where the trolls are. The war in Northrend proved to be really draining on Orgrimmar's economy, and got the point the Orcs had to venture deeper into Ashenvale. From these two events in the lore, can we summarise that Orc economy runs on timber? Amazing point. We see, just at the beginning of Mob, if I'm correct, that Garrosh, being the arrogant guy he wanted to push into Ashenvale, drive them out of there, but at the same time, he reaped the rewards for himself. It was a very case of, is he doing this on the behalf of just being big orc badass, knocking down trees, taking what he wants, or was it an actual tactical move after a nice bit of Northrend? But then again, you look at the Horde, spikes and everything as well, there's iron there as well, so you got to be a bit, tactically, amazing decision. Push them out, reclaim your homeland, gain forestation. But we can't say that's exactly what it is. On to Bilgewater Harbour. Directly north of Orgrimmar, the Goblin capital seems to be both the technological and trade hub of the Horb. Horb? You guys ever come to the Horb? It's the best club ever. No, hub of the Horde. Jesus. The Goblins seem to be the backbone of the entire Horde economy, and that they will take raw materials of the other races and turn into a product. The profits of the endeavours are evidently Galliwix's largest state. The biggest example of the industry is the complete stripping of resources in Ashada. Amazing post. Again, Completely, 100% bang on. Goblins do what they want, they take what they want. We see in Wall of Draenor, once again being a bit iffy, were they there already, or did they sneak through the portal? The society, the scene with the society. They're already I wouldn't say attacking the natural wildlife, but polluting it, and then making oil and all that sort of thing. We see that in one of the quest lines in Spires of Iraq. Thunderbluff and Echo Isles. Both of these cities have to have a niche economy in whatever resource they happen to be in. The Tauren possibly have an economy based around liver products of the Kodo. The Trolls have an economy based around the raptor husbandry and possible fishing. Husbandry means the breeding of raptors, selling them on, sort of thing. Both are very invaluable to Orgrimmar, and they are the only ones capable of trading essential food supplies. The Tauren could also have a large mineral economy, but it goes against their cultural respect of the earth. Now that bit of the end is a bit funky to me, really, in the whole mineral economy. I mean, I've not played the Tauren race. However, the surroundings it's built in, it is backed onto the Barrens as well. That part of the Eastern Kingdoms is very, Eastern Kingdoms? No. Fuck it. That part of Azeroth is very barren. The Barrens, etc. In terms of raptor husbandry and fishing, that seems more achievable. That seems a much more realistic idea. The Undercity. Oh boy! This one's a bit funny with me, really. I've played multiple Undead. A lot of it. And the only way I can really see them is going forward as an economy is just killing, slaughtering, looting. That's the only reason I can see behind it. In the post raised here, being undead, the Forsaken really underutilized the land potential of the fallen kingdom of Lordaeron. However, they do excel in apothecary, I think I said that right, fingers crossed, and subsequently alchemy and pharmaceutical ventures. It is common knowledge that the Forsaken are in to all the voodoo, all the evil concoctions they brew up. It is 100% true. An advantage of being undead is, I guess, that the experimentation on zero moral boundaries benefiting the rest of the Horde. I guess so. I mean, some of the biggest World War II medical advances came from the war. We found out millions of things about biology. The fact that they have no boundaries in that sense would make sense. In Naxxramas, the Construct Corner. Another prime example, not particularly the Forsaken himself, but with the result of the Scourge. All of that coming out of there, all zombies, patchworks, everything that came out of there was human experimentation, or human experimentation in general, whoever. Despite being the frailest of the whole races, the Forsaken are possibly the most numerous, because they are the former population of Lordaeron, as well as whoever Sylvanas' Valkyr have revived. Very true once again. In my personal opinion, I would love the idea of there to be a very large group of rogues, backstabbers, warriors, just taking things for what they want, and that comes as part of, like, you are the undead, you must pay your bills in that sense. But once again, it's down to the hero himself. I mean, he's a hero, he doesn't have to pay anything that way. So the idea of alchemy and selling medical equipment to your local hospital, Undercity's there for you. Vote Undercity for your local election. Okay, moving on to Silvermoon. Since the reignition of the Sunwell, the Blood Elves' addiction to magic should be the very least be tempered, if not eradicated. Being both a harbour nation, as well as Magi being as powerful as Dalaran, the Blood Elves are the main exporter of energy. In the heart of every goblin machine is an engine assisted by the fire magic of the Sin'dorei. Now this was probably one of my favourites. I always thought goblins just to be the same level as gnomes, they throw a machine together, they crap it all out, off they go, that's what they do. But I mean, in this one, it really goes into detail that says, like, I think, it's going to sound so stupid, most people forget Blood Elves have now the Sunwell. After the events of the Burning Crusade, it really got pushed to the side, completely pushed to the side. But they are extremely talented magi throughout that. And it goes down to the fact of, in Dalaran, there's enchanters, there's... Jesus Christ, I mean, this is what I was going on about. They are the main exporter of energy. Fact. It's where that energy goes that is not portrayed well enough. We see throughout the little bits in Burning Crusade, they lock them in arcane prisms and all this other sort of thing. When we get to Khadgar in Walls of Janor, we see a lot of magi there who are blood elves as well. We may see them mostly as human throughout the entire story, but it is well documented there are a ton of blood elf magi there that assist them throughout that. I feel that too will drive that in. And he rounds it up with horde economy. Goblin industry drives the horde economy and finances. Bilgewater goblins can easily afford the food and energy goods of the other races. The Forsaken come to a close second with their alchemical, pharmaceutical endeavours, and only to require the goblin tech to deliver their chemical weapons. Not really Forsaken, but it gets fuzzy. But yes, correct. The Blood Elves are largely independent, but do contribute with magical energies, but do require the engineers and the architects of Tauren and Goblin. The Tauren and Trolls receive some benefit from the Goblin tech in exchange for their foodstuff. The Orcs are being carried in this partnership, with only leverage being holds of the capital eclipsing their timber production. I'm not too sure on that last bit, though. I think generally it was the Orcs that really brought them together, and they all stay with them in that sense. They are the guys you need to stick with for this. They hold a main foothold. So that is why I do believe they stay with them there. The trade partners of the Horde include non-affiliated Goblin cartels, Kaluk, Hosen, Dragonmaw, Tanuka, Stonewall, Ogres, and the Pandaren. Possible partner in the Ebb and Blade, but strictly with the Forsaken. Very nice little roundup. Moving on to those dirty damn Alliance pigs. To those damn humans living in Stormwind, the crown jewel city of Azeroth, possessing rich in farmland, a forest, rich mines, a train, and a harbour. The humans of Stormwind make the goblins look poor in comparison. This city really needs to be only technological prowess of the homeless gnomes. Lovely. There is not much else I can really say about that. I feel as if the gnomes didn't stay within Gadgetzan, and, well, holy shit! If the gnomes stayed in Gadgetzan, you've obviously never read my fanfic. Come on. The gnomes moved out of Ironforge and did actually start to occupy Stormwind. I really do think there would be some more technological advances. We see the tram. That itself is already... I mean, if I'm correct, throughout Chronicles of War, I can't remember which bit in Chronicles of War, they start to dream about this amazing underneath thing, and they say what an amazing invention it is of Stormwind, quoted by Lothar himself. And of course that links into Ironforge. The dwarves are the greatest smiths. Undeniable. And the name of their city reflects their pride in their metallurgy. Please hope I'm saying that right. In their metallurgy. Along with being the foster home of the gnomes and the dwarves, also control Loch Modan and a portion of the Black Rock Mountains. Simple. Ores, rocks, anvils. What you gotta know. What else? Armour, made to fit. Slap it on you. It's more Scottish, but I'm not going to degrade myself in that sense. Donasius, their similarities to the Tauren leads me to believe they are run mostly on furs and leathers, although the Night Elf ships lead me to believe they are not completely against lumber milling, unless of course their ships are druid crafted. I'm not really too sure what to say on that. My ideas on Donasius lore, Night Elf lore, isn't fantastic, so I can't really focus too much on this one. The same goes for the Exodar. The Draenei have the most valuable and rarest trade goods, the Atamal crystals they received from the Naru, along with the knowledge of the transdimensional travel and means to do so with what remains of the Exodar. The Draenei survive quite easily on their newest home. This single post sparked me to jump online and start running in with a friend throughout the Exodar and reading the story. And it confuses me. Yes, they have amazing alien technology. However, none of which is utilised. we see tiny little things in there. In the very starting quest, you have the alchemy, where you revive all your friends, blah, blah, blah. There's not much actual shown from the Draenei themselves. It's a very precarious situation, really. I mean, the crystals, of course, in Walls of Draenei, slapped across the face. But we're talking about original Azeroth here. We know they're smart. We know it has consequences on wildlife. It's just so... I think there is. There has to be. I just don't think it's portrayed well enough. The gnomes' ingenuity goes without being said. The Gilneans, however, are not completely like the Ort, and that they are slightly ahead of Stormwind humans in regards to technology. Comparing Gilneans to Stormwind, the architecture and technology of the Gilneans was decades ahead. Whether or not the Gilneans share this knowledge, or their foster homes, is yet to be seen. I think he's correct on this post as well. Once again, started a new character, ran through the Gilnean starting area, and it's just not portrayed well. Very Victorian themed town, and from what I see, that's it again. The only alchemy advances are the turning of the Worgen, and even that's, once again, dwarfed by the Forsaken. Dalaran! Woo! Once again, this isn't technically Alliance, but yes. In current lore, he states, the Council of Six has fully aligned themselves to the Alliance. Okay. I have not finished Tides of War. What I'm aware is that the Council has to remain neutral, no matter how much Windrunner has been a bitch about Bob Faramore. And Jaina, I know she's upset with it all. But once again, I haven't finished it, but it would seem very contradictory in the way the Council have always been. The floating city, however, really only provides little in economics outside magical energy. Unless we want to cheat and consider food conjuring an economy, then the Orcs should have never had a post-Wrath of the Lich King food shortage. Can you imagine that? It's like, we are hungry, great Magi. Khadgar steps up to the plate and he goes, food for all! And just tons of fish, cows, cupcakes fall from the sky, and we're like, oh, thank you, great mage. Thank you for feeding us. Okay, crazy, bit there over. There's a sense of even trade between Stormwind/Ironforge and the Exodar. The Draenei need allies and supplies not found on the Exodar remains, while humans wouldn't mind exchanging those Draenei tech tips. Fair enough, a very nice economy. The Night Elves act as the primary defence for the Draenei due to their proximity. Dalaran and Stormwind are bound to be quite close in their trade, as their few remaining human strongholds. Gnomes and Worgen benefit in whatever city they refugee in. Trade partners of the Alliance include the non-affiliated Goblin Cartels, Wildhammer Dwarves, wherever Kultiris is, the Jinyu, and the Pandaren. Light Hope Chapel is the possible trade partner due to the shared interest in seeing the Plague's land restored. Very interesting wrap-up. I like it. Very good. Moving on to the main debate. Horde economy versus the Alliance economy. Comparing economies is tough, because an economy can be stronger or weaker depending on how you look at them. The Horde, by virtue of having a Goblin ally, are financially more stable. The concentration of wealth in the Alliance is concentrated into Stormwind, who do not have an existing track record when it comes to financial challenges. In comparison, the Goblins rebuilt their entire cartel in a shower faster than... I ain't gonna say that. They built it fast. The more industrious of the economies once again goes to the Horde. Garrosh, come here and take this exhaust. You earned it. This is because the goblins have a home to concentrate their efforts, whereas the gnomes rely on the scraps afforded to them by their foster city. The dwarves are great smiths and knocking off gnome tech, but the dwarves do not have the ingenuity to pull off something like an Iron Star or a mana bomb. The more resilient economy, in that which would withstand a natural disaster better, would be the Alliance. The heart of the Horde economy is the Bilgewater, Orgrimmar, Echo Isles axis, while the Alliance heart is Stormwind, Ironforge axis. Stormwind is the most stable in terms of food and infrastructure economy. In the event of a food crisis, both Stormwind and Ironforge have a surplus to supply each other, as well as a harbour to import from Darnasius. However, should another food shortage occur for the Horde, the Echo Isle marine market will be strained to support their populations of the Bilgewater and Orgrimmar. Now, which economy has the best potential for growth depends on whether or not the Draenei are willing to share their knowledge of spare technology. If not, the Horde/Goblin technology will continue to refine to the point where Horde will run shipping lines from former Lordaeron to Quel'Thalas. An abundance of access to Forsaken alchemy and Sin'dorei magic will give the Bilgewater Tinkers massive possibilities in new technology. Additionally, Bilgewater goblins are not bound to experiment with certain moral code, like the gnomes, under the scrutiny of the Alliance priests. Very, very fair point there. I feel like there is more to this. I didn't include the possibility of Outland and Northrend colonies, because the Cataclysm would have made those impractical. How can you expand in the midst of a mad dragon's rampage? Once again, I just want to say thank you ever so much, Yamaha RN. It was absolutely fantastic post there. One of the best I've seen in a while. In one of the first comments, Yasan275 states, "There's no Horde gold or Alliance gold. It's just gold. How would that affect their global economy compared to our own?" And a reply from Sussex Venus, "Well, to compare currencies, it is evident they both use coins, but although have never shown the difference. For currencies, a difference could be purity for the coins. They could also have various insignias where the gold was minted from. I could see the goblins making their own coins for how wealthy they are for their respective cartels. Stormwind, Lordaeron, and Ironforge, I think, would also mint their own coin." Once again, very, very interesting point. Factions marking their own gold. Not said. We definitely know there is a trade of gold in Warcraft. Jaina lends some out to Bane. We know it happens. It's stated in War Crimes. But once again, I'm not sure if that gold is actually minted. Because she hands it over, Bane uses the gold, and nothing's ever said again. It's just classed as gold. But once again, it's a very grey area in the sense of gameplay to lore. So you look at it this way. There's gold. There's lumber. There are resources for everybody to use. However, it depends which faction is the richest. And I think, looking at this post, summing it up, richest, the Horde, in general. People with the most, quote, resources would be the Alliance. And I think that pretty much wraps that post up, really. So, in the next post by Electric, is Khadgar really Khadgar? Now, I've seen this one pop up a bit, because there are so many theories to, well, let's discuss. Number one, Atish. Right. Let's discuss. So, basically, for those who are not so familiar on the lore, the Great Staff Atish belonged to the Guardian Medivh, who was corrupted by Sargeras. In the comics, which I'm not sure if official, I think they are official in a question to Blizzard, I'm not sure. They are, quote, official. And Medan, the son of Garona and Medivh, I said the M-word, I'm sorry, picks up the Staff Atish and does a bunch of crazy adventures with it. And he goes AWOL like crazy. He's like, oh, look at me, I'm a paladin. Look at me, I'm a shaman. Look at me, I'm a fucking warrior. It's like, cool, we get it. So, you're standing there in front of the red portal. You're like, right, I'm ready. Who the fuck's that guy? And Khadgar's like, hello, I'm Khadgar. Look at my sexy new model. You're like, you're that really old guy. You're that complete old guy from Shadowrath in Outland. And this has already sparked some things where people say, oh yes, Pooty's in Outland, how can he be in the portal? Put it this way, you're leveling through each zone as you would. You're level 60 then, you're experiencing the Burning Crusade then. In the book of Tides of War. It is stated that he is in Dalaran and sitting in the Council of Six. That's very much stated. So he's in there. When he turns up in front of the new, quote, red portal, he has a Tish in hand. And it hasn't been explained. Has not been explained as of yet. So already people are like, whoa. For those people who knew him, they think there's duplicate Khadgars. Not true. Even people argue to the fact of there were mirror entities of him in each city. Yes, mirror image. He's a very powerful mage. That's where that belongs. It's a simple gameplay mechanic they put in. So that's that point out the way, instead of having multiple hymns around. I'll start to get on it, because it's a post from Blizzard Watch, which I've not personally come across before, but I have spent a bit of time on there and found some very interesting facts. The column above talks about the tantalizing possibilities of Khadgar's true identity. What if he's really Medivh? How cool would that be? What if he's actually Sargeras? How even more cool would that be? I'm a huge fan of Titans. It's one of my favourite pieces in the entire lore. And there's some interesting implications in this piece. So, I want to make something that I did not find out until I started researching this post. During the questline of tracking down the not Shadow Moon. Oh no, I've forgotten it. When you... Okay, I'm going to do it in the most stupid sounding way possible. Tracking down Gul'dan. You have him and his disciples there, Terengor, etc. Now, when you first arrive in this cutscene with the watching eye or whatever it is you use, there is the old model of Medivh on the left. Look it up online. It is there. And I looked this up because someone sent me a message saying, this is very peculiar. Do you know who this is? I said, I'll have a look. It's Medivh. So, alternate universe Medivh is a thing. I think. It could just be they throw it in. They could have thrown it in for a little bit of a haha. Or there's actually something there. In terms of him being Khadgar, I'm going to say yes. I think Khadgar really is the real guy. There's just so much evidence that's outside. Oh, okay, I'm going to quote Joe Magicians, the top post on this. First off, the appearance thing from the article isn't a good argument. In-game character models change drastically over time. Warcraft Free For All looks like nothing in the WoD one anymore. Perfect point. The same for any character they left in-game for a long period of time. His new model even appears in Shattrath. Same with Atish. So these details are likely retcons for the movie. Okay, fair enough. He also interacts with someone who can definitely verify his identity. Jaina Proudmoore, leader of the Kirin Tor, that crazy woman. So I think she would know. There you go, sits on the council of Kirin Tor and can teleport to Draenor and back, which, is proven. She could easily realise if there were two Khadgars, so if there was an imposter, they would at least have time to replace the original long ago before he returned to Outland. And an imposter that Naru and his fellow soldiers wouldn't be fooled by. This was fantastic. I mentioned he was sitting in Outland, and people still argued with it. As far as I know, Medivh couldn't teleport to an Outland with Will, and the Naru wouldn't have noticed a demon lord in the same room as them. Amazing point. Perfect point. Can you imagine? The Naru were like, this guy's the best. And it's just Sargeras. Just chilling in his body, yeah. I'm just going to wait till you guys go to bed. Then I'll get freaky. He states, I'm more interested in who Gul'dan is talking to. And who knows that about Khadgar? By the time that part of the quest happens, Garrosh and Zayla are dead. The only friendly group he could be talking to would know Khadgar would be the Black Fuse Company and possibly the Medivh of the Altered Timeline. This is something that... it's going to sound really bad. I think Blizzard just had that in there for drama purposes. It has to be. There's so much just going against it to say that Gul'dan's got contacts to our world. A common theory I've seen is he's captured soldiers And then you're looking at stuff like, well, has that soldier lived through the First and Second War? Was he on a hold? Blah, 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 blah. It's so just like, oh, it could be, it could be. There's no definite answer. No one else on Draenor or the Burning Legion has any idea who Khadgar is. But then, the very next post down by Tubger, I Love X, please say I meant that right, something we've all forgotten about, of course we have. Rathian is present on Draenor. It could be him talking to Gul'dan too. There's two theories I want to state with this one. Rathian. I'm just trying to, get a general sort of lore for Rathian. The son of Deathwing, he's the only black dragon that is uncorrupted by the old gods. After being born by Nadrixia, and then Ray Straza, something silly like that. She makes sure the egg isn't corrupted. So she makes him safe and all that other things. We see him throughout Mr. Pandaria. He does the legendary quest line. He's the one that says there's a Burning Legion invasion coming. Once again, there's no real... How does he know this sort of shit? It's just like, I am all-powerful Black Dragon. Burning Legion, come. We're like, oh, Black Dragon, we listen to you so strong, sir. And he states that there's a massive Burning Legion coming and we need to band together and do it. So he assists members of the Horde and the Alliance. And then he realised the Horde mainly sort of takes over, but not this Horde. He needs to have an Iron Horde. And this is all what happens in the Book of War Crimes, which is missed between Mr. Pandaria and Walls of Draenor. That's what happens, really. Complete mess up inside there. So, it's so funky. Because Rathian, we know he's on Draenor. Admiral Taylor's log states that they captured him for a bit, and then he disappeared. We've not heard anything from him. We just know he's there. But knowing Rathian, it's just that thing it's going to happen near the end of Talador. Not end of Talador, Tanan. And he's going to pop up and be like, yep, actually, I'm the leader of the Burning Legion. And we're like, oh no. Joe the Magician states, I've been thinking about it since you brought up the possibility. Rathian is aware of multiple timelines and dimensions, and the threat the Burning Legion and the infinite dragonflight possesses to all of them. He outlines this during Pandaland. Thank you, I thought I was the only one who referred to it as that. I'm going to go full tinfoil hat. Tinfoil hat time. Let's go. I think it's the trader on the Horde and the Draenei talking to Gul'dan, and go with your idea. He wants our timeline to remain the dominant one, safe from demons and the infinite. So he recruits Kairos and puts him in a position to help Garrosh. Kairos wanted an infinite army, presumably to protect his home against all threats. Example being the Legion, Deathwing, etc., etc. Rathian sets this in motion after his plan with varying fails. He takes the lessons of Pandaria seriously. He wants to improve our Horde Alliance by forcing them to fight against the other Legion before the real one arrives in our timeline. So he's helping Gul'dan to make sure the Legion shows up on Draenor, since we're doing a very good job of stopping the Iron Horde and Gul'dan so far, sacrificing the other timeline so that when our warriors return, they'll be better prepared for a Legion. Very Black Dragonflight thing to do. Hashtag Dragonflight things. We know in the last sentence he states there, Black Dragonflight things just do that. Perfect example. Nefarian, perfect example of manipulation. Deathwing, the king of manipulation, became a fucking king for a while. He was like, oh, fuck you, I'm going to become a king and marry your daughter, fucking Terranus. And Terranus like, oh, whatever. I don't see any giant fucking wings or scales, whatever. So, the possibility of him... Oh, it's going to sound so silly as well. Almost an Argent tournament case with this one, where we're not going to throw warriors at the Burning Legion, because we're nowhere near ready. But Rathian knows we need to be trained. We need to be thrown and fight off against this, quote, Iron Horde, who are the big bad mofos kicking down doors. And, to be honest, we're taking them pretty easy. But he wants to get Gul'dan to take them in. Because, as far as we're honest, Azeroth, no real threats at the moment. Nothing is going to bring the Burning Legion without any notice. So the fact that this is all happening, it's a very good tinfoil hat theory. Well done, Jonah Magician. I will give you that. It's a perfect one. Going back to the main point. Is Khadgar really Khadgar? I say yes. There is something too easy. Too easy just to let slip in his story. Just be like, oh yeah, in that one episode where Madan's fighting bears, Khadgar comes and he gave the staff to him because he deserved it more. I don't want it to be that. But I feel it's going to be something silly as that. We'll get a comic later on that will say, yeah, Madan died fighting an old god you guys never heard of. Once again, Madan takes the day, Khadgar takes it with his pinch of salt, walks off with a tish. It is, I feel, that simple. But there is a lot of speculation to it. I think, personally, it's because he hasn't been in the limelight for a while. He hasn't been enough in the spotlight for people to really take notice of him. Stuff like Kayla Menethil, Lich King's sister. Let's put it to that. She has not been touched in forever. No one's seen her, heard anything about her. There's a few theories floating around, but the fact that no one's heard her, then these things pop up. They're like, oh, was she Scourge? Oh, no, she's going to appear in the next quest line, and it's a bit, we don't know. Simple as. But Khadgar versus, am I really Khadgar? Paper mask face. I think, yes. Your own theories can be right. There is a theory for absolutely everything. If you can get good evidence behind it, go for it. With Khadgar's evidence, it's a bit iffy. And, of course, I want to finish this podcast on my absolute favourite post. How would the dragon aspects fare against the Lich King? Boom! How would they? Come on, tell me. How would they do it? By Adolf Muster. Thank you, Adolf Muster. Thank you. If the aspects, Alexstrasza, anyone, intervenes near the end of Wrath, how would they have fared in a battle against him? I always thought they were more reluctant to face him in person, because any casualties they would have gotten a potent advantage. Can you imagine if you managed to kill and control one of the aspects? I think they were biding their time for an opportunity to take him out, and just used heroes of Azeroth to accomplish that. Is it even possible to put down the Lich King without the light? Bar pissing him off. Getting Sargeras to pop out a portal and go, hey, why are you fucking with my Lich King shit? I'll stamp on you. Boom. The way I see it, the aspects aren't powerful in the normal sense of the word. They appear to be massive dragons, but only have the power over their domain. For example, Ysera has the power of nature, Alexstrasza, life, blah blah blah, but they aren't necessarily that powerful or willing to directly intervene. They're a neutral sort of state, I would say. Frankly, they don't make much sense when you look at them objectively. They refuse to intervene with the Lich King because they view it as a mortal conflict, but when the War of the Ancients broke out, they were willing to fight then. Both cases were the result of Sargeras, so I fail to see the difference, Mike735 says. Just being dragons being fucking dragons. Electus says, almost every single problem in Azeroth is the end result of Sarg doing shit. So, that's not really meaningful. The war against the Lich King was ultimately not world-ending, but between the other top-tier entities on the planet, Arthas was not going to be destroying the world. Deathwing and the Legion, however, very well might have. Once again, it goes down to, here's one big baddie, there's one big baddie, fight it out. You have to really, really think about this. Lich King is a guy in impervious armor. He has magical qualities about him. I think whatever Blizzard says is gonna go. Heroes have to whittle him down, and even then at the end, he can still kill us and destroy us. It takes the almighty power of the light to put him down, destroy the blade, and then he loses his soul. Losing his soul is what really, I think, pushes him over the edge. You could have argued that Alexstrasza is the binder of life. She could remove his soul, but once again, it's mortal conflict, so I don't think they would have intervened. I just want to thank you all so much for listening into the first podcast. I know it's not going to be the best thing ever, and I will get better. I'm hoping to have a few more people on here so I can have lore-based discussions and get it going. But for today, I just wanted to get one down, have a look at what I'm doing, and see what amazing stories and theories I can do out. I'm not 100% experienced on lore, I know that. But I mean, the more I learn, the more we can talk about it, the more we can all theorize and ask who can the Lich King beat up. But thank you so much for listening in. And I hope you're listening to this on your way to work, on your way back from work, wherever you are. I hope you're having a great time and better than dreary old Britain. All have a great weekend. I know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be playing some Heroes of the Storm and probably doing some normal raiding. Tell me what you guys are up to. What did you think of my discussion on here? Do you think anything was a bit funky in that sense? Post it in the Reddit post below, or if you really want to, post in the YouTube thing here. I will reply as much as I can, and I hope you all had fun. And as always, my friends, Loktar champions, blood and honor await you. Go kill some Alliance pigs. Hellcream out.